Hey guys, it's Pierre, and in this video we're going to talk about UI kits and why I don't think that they are the end-all be-all for designers. Now, don't get me wrong, a well-structured UI kit can help you save tons and tons of time, especially if you're working with startups or simply clients that need a well-designed project fast. But there's definitely a lot of items and things which you need to keep in mind whenever you're working with UI kits in order to avoid wasting more time than what you're saving, because that is a very likely situation if you don't structure things well. Now let's talk about the pros of UI kits. Obviously, UI kits are going to help you get a base so that you don't have to start from scratch and stare at your monitor thinking, okay, where should I start? Because that is a very overwhelming feeling, especially if you need to create something complex. So having something which you can already leverage upon, I think it's definitely an advantage. Then you can customize and create a custom solution for your clients, but without having to reinvent the wheel. I think in those regards, they are very useful. And also for things like, specific projects, like for example, if I need to work on an iOS project, they come really handy because they can give you common UX components such as the top level headers, a structure for the basic menus on iOS, and the same is true of course on Android, and even the basic styling. So for example, here we're using this iOS kit, which is a free kit that you can find on Figma community, and I have all of the basic elements for creating an iOS styled app, and you can see all the components. So in those regards, they come really handy. But now let's talk about some of the things which you want to avoid, and especially where I think UI kits kind of start to have a point of diminishing return in their value. And that is whenever you're working on a project such as a dashboard where you need all sorts of different analytics elements or table components, things of that nature, and you need to nest them. And essentially, the issue is this: sometimes you have these components on a UI kit which have so many different layers of auto layout and nested components, and each and every element is connected to a design system which has a very peculiar and specific way of organizing the design. So I would say this specific example is a great example of an easy to use UI kit, because all of the layers or very loose. There isn't a lot of nesting going on, which don't get me wrong, I know that sometimes designers put a lot of work in creating these really intricate systems, but for the mere mortals, it's going to be more work than actually creating an element from scratch. Sometimes you have these components which are extremely simple, and there's like 10 layers and 20 different groups, and you need to understand what's going on behind the scenes. It will maybe take you like 1 or 2 hours just to understand what is going on in order for you to dissect the component and then maybe reorganize it according to your design system. So it's almost like a migration of this designer that created the design system thought about things this way, but in your design system you're actually creating it this way. So there's going to be this this bridge which can take you hours upon hours in order for you to basically bridge the gap, and that is one of the reasons why I don't love using UI kits often. I like to create a lot of custom work, and I leverage UI kits especially for components which are common components, or thinking about things like icon libraries, of course, those are going to be really easy to use, and in specific scenarios. But one alternative that I found is sometimes even just a dribble shot and me recreating the shot on the right can sometimes be faster than working on a UI kit and extracting the layers and trying to merge all the different elements, because each and every time especially this is true if you're working on a project which already has a design style established. Now in that case, UI kits can become even more complicated because you're going to need to organize essentially what I just said in these past minutes in a very strict way. So those are one of the reasons why I don't enjoy working with a lot of UI kits these days, simply because the structure is difficult to follow. And also another thing to keep in mind is the lack of uniqueness. So you need to create something which is going to be custom for your client. So you can't just simply leverage a UI kit and call it a day. So you always need to keep in mind that there's going to be that extra work, and sometimes creating something from scratch is going to be a better solution and an easier solution for you, rather than utilizing a pre-made design or something around these lines. And on top of that, one other thing that I want you to keep in mind is that UI kits have, for the very most part, no focus on the user experience, mainly, and I can tell you this especially since I actually created over 20 UI kits in past years. I don't do that anymore, but I can tell you that mainly whenever you create a UI kit, yes, you're thinking a bit about the UX, but you're trying to create something which is a really nice design. And this is also going to help with the marketing and the visuals. So you're not creating something which is a real life project. This is what essentially what I'm trying to say. You're creating an element, a set of assets, thinking about all the different possible scenarios that one might want to tackle, and you're trying to future-proof that asset in order for you to have that base. So these are the things that I would keep in mind whenever you're working on a UI kit. Now, I'm not bashing on them whatsoever. I still use them from time to time, but want you to basically have a bird's eye overview on what are the pros, what are the cons of using UI kits, and what are the best practices. Now, I want to remind you that I have hundreds of videos on Figma on my channel, and I also recently released a Figma course. So if you want to get from beginner to expert in a relatively short amount of time, of course it is quite long, it's almost 10 hours, but it's going to bring you there if that is what you want. Or you can find all sorts of different free videos on my YouTube channel, so you have both options. Hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you in the very next one.